The galactic transmission came as a surprise to the Apex Consortium. It was rare for humans to make direct contact with their organization, and even rarer for them to initiate such an audacious proposal. The message was simple yet perplexing. Earth invited the most feared predators in the galaxy to a dinner that promised to redefine their understanding of humanity. At first, the consortium's members dismissed it as a poorly conceived attempt at diplomacy. After all, what could humans, a species relatively new to the interstellar stage, possibly offer to beings who thrived at the top of their respective food chains? Despite their initial skepticism, the curiosity of the predators began to outweigh their disdain. Humans were an oddity in the galactic community, surviving and even thriving on a death world, a planet categorized as extraordinarily hostile to life. Earth was infamous for its volatile weather, deadly fauna, and ecosystems that seemed to churn out apex predators with terrifying efficiency. Yet humans had risen above it all, not just surviving but dominating their environment. That fact alone made them worthy of occasional intrigue, if not outright respect. The Apex Consortium's council gathered in their usual meeting hall, a vast chamber carved from the dense black stone of their homeworld. The delegates, each representing a predator species, shared wary glances as they reviewed the invitation. The hall was filled with the low hum of alien languages as they debated the risks. Could this be a trap? Was it a human trick to eliminate potential threats to their fledgling empire? But the message carried no hint of subterfuge. It was straightforward and oddly confident, as if humanity had no fear of the consortium's wrath. One by one, the members cast their votes. Against all odds, the decision was unanimous. They would accept the invitation. After all, what harm could a dinner pose to beings capable of tearing through armies? The consortium's pride all but ensured their agreement. If the humans were foolish enough to invite predators to their table, they would learn firsthand the cost of their arrogance. The journey to Earth was uneventful but laden with tension. The delegates traveled aboard their personal ships, each a testament to their species' technological prowess. Their vessels bristled with weapons, designed not for defense but for domination. As they descended into Earth's orbit, they were greeted by a human escort, a fleet of smaller ships that guided them through the planet's dense atmosphere. The landing site was nothing like they expected. Instead of a sterile government facility or a sprawling cityscape, they arrived at a lush biodome in the middle of a vast savanna. The dome, made entirely of transparent material, shimmered in the golden light of Earth's setting sun. Inside, the predators could see a grand table set amidst a carefully curated ecosystem, complete with Earth's iconic wildlife roaming freely. The scene was disarming, almost serene, but it only heightened their suspicion. Predators were not accustomed to being guests, let alone in such an exposed setting. Human representatives greeted them at the entrance, their demeanor calm and welcoming. They were unarmed, their attire simple but elegant. The predators exchanged wary glances, their instincts screaming that something was amiss. Despite their unease, they followed the humans into the biodome, their pride preventing them from showing any hesitation. As they stepped inside, the predators were struck by the sheer audacity of the setup. The table was enormous, crafted from a single slab of dark wood that gleamed under the soft lights. Each place setting was adorned with intricate carvings depicting Earth's diverse fauna. Above the table, a holographic projection displayed a rotating image of the planet, highlighting its dangerous ecosystems. The predators couldn't help but feel that the humans were making a statement, though its meaning remained unclear. Their seats were positioned strategically, offering unobstructed views of the savanna outside. As they settled in, they noticed the subtle movements of Earth's predators, lions stalking in the distance, a crocodile half-submerged in a nearby watering hole, and a pack of hyenas circling a herd of gazelles. It was a reminder that Earth was a death world, a place where survival was a constant struggle. Yet, the humans appeared utterly at ease. The human host, a man named Ambassador Lin, began with a brief speech. His tone was measured, his words carefully chosen. He welcomed the delegates and expressed humanity's honor at hosting such esteemed guests. But beneath his polite demeanor, there was an unmistakable undertone of confidence, almost as if he were addressing peers rather than superiors. The predators bristled at his audacity but said nothing, their curiosity piqued. Lin concluded his speech with a promise: tonight you will experience a side of humanity that no other species has ever seen. This dinner is not merely a diplomatic gesture, it is a celebration of what makes us human. And by the end of this night, I assure you, you will understand why we invited you here. The predators exchanged skeptical glances as the first course was brought out. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The dishes were presented with an artistic flair, their aromas wafting through the air and igniting their heightened senses. But what truly caught their attention was the main ingredient, creatures they recognized all too well. These were not Earth's predators, but apex species from their own homeworld's, beings that were considered untouchable, even among their kind. The first dish featured the flesh of a Traz Gore, a massive, armored beast from the volcanic plains of Zuraith. The consortium members were stunned. How had the humans managed to capture such a creature, let alone prepare it for consumption? The dish was accompanied by a detailed story of the hunt, narrated by one of the human chefs. The predators listened in silence, their disbelief growing with every word. The humans had not only faced the Traz Gore but had defeated it using tactics that blended cunning with brute strength. As the first course was served, the predators hesitated. Their pride urged them to reject the food, to prove their superiority by refusing to partake. But their instincts, honed over millennia of survival, told them otherwise. The scent alone was enough to ignite their predatory urges, and despite themselves, they took the first bite. The taste was indescribable. It was as if the humans had unlocked a new dimension of flavor, blending the primal essence of the Traz Gore with spices and techniques unique to Earth. The predators were both outraged and impressed. How could a species they had dismissed as prey achieve something so extraordinary? As they ate, their initial skepticism began to wane, replaced by a grudging respect. By the time the first course was cleared, the atmosphere at the table had shifted. The predators were no longer dismissive, they were intrigued. The humans had done the unthinkable, and this was only the beginning. Each delegate realized that this dinner was more than a mere meal, it was a challenge, a statement of humanity's place in the galaxy. As the second course was prepared, the predators found themselves waiting with a mix of anticipation and unease. They had come to Earth expecting to intimidate and dominate, but now they were beginning to wonder if they had underestimated their hosts. For the first time in their long, predatory lives, they felt a hint of something unfamiliar: vulnerability. The humans, it seemed, were not prey after all. They were something far more dangerous, an unknown force that refused to be underestimated, and the night was far from over. The first course had set the tone for the evening, but it was only a prelude to what the humans had planned. As the servers moved swiftly to clear the table, the predators exchanged glances. They were masters of their own worlds, rulers of their ecosystems, yet here they were guests at a table that seemed designed to challenge everything they believed about humanity. The air in the biodome was thick with an unspoken tension, a mixture of curiosity, indignation, and a growing sense of respect. The second course began with a spectacle. The lights in the biodome dimmed slightly, casting a warm, golden hue over the room. A holographic display appeared above the table, showcasing a detailed projection of a creature many of the predators immediately recognized: the Kravlik. This six-eyed, venomous beast hailed from the acidic swamps of Uruva, a planet so hostile that even apex predators rarely ventured far from their territory. The Kravlik was not only dangerous but nearly impossible to capture alive. Its venom could dissolve flesh in seconds, and its agile, coiled body allowed it to strike faster than the eye could follow. The projection shifted to a recording of a hunt, narrated by one of the human chefs. The predators watched in stunned silence as the footage unfolded. A small team of humans, armed only with primitive-looking tools and protective gear, ventured into the swamps of Uruva. They moved with calculated precision, studying the environment, analyzing the creature's behavior, and setting intricate traps. The predators were mesmerized. This wasn't brute force, it was strategy, patience, and an uncanny understanding of their prey. When the humans finally subdued the Kravlik, it wasn't with overwhelming firepower but with an ingenious use of bait and timing. The predators couldn't hide their shock. For species that prided themselves on their hunting prowess, witnessing such a methodical and successful hunt was both humbling and unsettling. As the projection faded, servers entered the biodome carrying the second course. Each plate was a work of art, the Kravlik's delicate, white flesh arranged in intricate patterns and garnished with vibrant earth-grown herbs. A rich, golden sauce accompanied the dish, its aroma hinting at flavors the predators couldn't begin to place. The humans called it citrus reduction, a seemingly simple term that belied the complexity of its preparation. The predators hesitated once more, their pride warring with their instincts. They were not accustomed to consuming creatures from their own ecosystems, let alone in such a refined manner. Yet the scent was intoxicating, and the presentation was undeniably appealing. One by one, they took their first bites. The effect was immediate. The Kravlik's flesh was tender and flavorful, its natural richness perfectly balanced by the tangy sweetness of the sauce. The predators, despite themselves, were captivated. The flavors were unlike anything they had ever experienced, bold yet harmonious, primal yet refined. It was as if the humans had unlocked a new way of understanding food, transforming even the most dangerous creatures into something transcendent. As they ate, the predators began to lower their guard. The meal was more than sustenance, it was an experience, a challenge to their preconceived notions about humanity. The humans were not merely surviving on their death world, they were thriving, mastering their environment in ways that even the most advanced species struggled to comprehend. The predators found themselves both admiring and envying this adaptability. Midway through the course, Ambassador Lin rose from his seat, his calm demeanor commanding attention. He spoke not as a host but as an equal addressing peers. "You may wonder why we chose these creatures," he began, his voice steady and measured. "The answer is simple: to demonstrate what it means to be human. We are not the strongest, nor the fastest, nor the most resilient, but we are adaptable, resourceful, and unyielding. These traits have allowed us to thrive on a planet that challenges us at every turn." The predators listened intently, their initial skepticism replaced by a begrudging respect. Lin continued, gesturing toward the dishes before them. "The creatures you see here are not trophies. They are symbols of what we can achieve when we work together, when we push the limits of what is possible. This meal is not just a feast, it is a celebration of our shared existence in this vast galaxy. And it is a reminder that no matter how different we may seem, we all have something to learn from one another." The room fell silent as Lin returned to his seat. The predators, for once, had no retort. His words resonated with a truth they couldn't deny. Humanity, despite its youth and apparent fragility, possessed a depth of ingenuity and determination that rivaled even the most advanced civilizations. As the second course concluded, the servers cleared the plates with practiced efficiency, preparing for the next phase of the meal. The predators, now fully engaged, found themselves anticipating what was to come. Their initial wariness had given way to a cautious curiosity. If the humans had gone to such lengths for the first two courses, what surprises awaited them next? The holographic display above the table flickered to life once more, this time showcasing a Tarkalian spikeback. This enormous armored creature was considered the apex predator of its jungle homeworld, feared even by the most skilled hunters. Its spiked hide was impervious to most weapons, and its sheer size made it a formidable opponent. The predators watched in awe as the recording detailed the spikeback's capture. The humans had used a combination of drones, decoys, and precise timing to outmaneuver the beast. It was a display of technological innovation and teamwork that left the predators both impressed and unsettled. These were not the actions of a prey species, they were the tactics of hunters who had mastered their craft. As the servers brought out the third course, the predators could hardly contain their anticipation. The spikeback's meat was presented in thick, succulent cuts, its rich, dark flavor complemented by a smoky glaze made from earth-grown spices. The dish was accompanied by a side of roasted root vegetables, their earthy sweetness providing a perfect counterbalance to the meat's intensity. The predators dined in silence, their minds racing with thoughts they could not yet articulate. This meal was more than a display of culinary skill, it was a statement, a declaration of humanity's place in the galaxy. By turning apex predators into a feast, the humans had shown that they were not to be underestimated. They were not prey, nor were they simple allies. They were something entirely different, something the galaxy had never seen before. As the biodome's lights dimmed once more, signaling the end of the second course, the predators realized that this dinner was more than they had bargained for. It was a challenge to their perceptions, a test of their own adaptability and humility. And as they prepared for the final course, one thought lingered in their minds: the humans were not what they seemed. They were far more dangerous and far more extraordinary than anyone had ever imagined. The biodome's ambience shifted as the second course was cleared, leaving the predators in a state of contemplative silence. The air was heavy with the aroma of Earth's rich flora and the lingering spices from the meal, but it carried an unspoken tension as well. The predators had come to this dinner expecting a spectacle of human bravado, a desperate attempt to impress superior beings. Instead, they had witnessed a calculated display of ingenuity, adaptability, and boldness that challenged their perceptions of humanity. And now, with one final course left, they could feel the weight of something monumental approaching. As the humans prepared for the last presentation, Ambassador Lin rose again, this time with a quieter but no less commanding presence. His expression was unreadable, his voice steady as he addressed his guests. "You have tasted what humanity can create from your own worlds, from the apex creatures that represent the pinnacle of survival and dominance. But this final course is something different. It is not about conquest or mastery, it is about understanding. The predators exchanged puzzled glances, their sharp eyes narrowing in suspicion. What could possibly follow the earlier courses that had already upended their expectations? As the lights dimmed further, the holographic display above the table illuminated once more. This time it showed Earth not its predators or ecosystems, but its people. The projection shifted through scenes of humanity's struggles, triumphs, and perseverance. Images of early humans battling their environment, building civilizations, and reaching for the stars played out in a seamless montage. The predators, for all their pride and power, were captivated. They had seen humanity as a curiosity, a species lucky enough to survive on a death world. But this presentation revealed the deeper truth: humans were not survivors by chance, but by choice, by sheer determination and an insatiable drive to adapt and evolve. They were a species that thrived not by dominating others, but by constantly challenging themselves to grow, to innovate, and to push beyond their limits. The hologram faded, and the servers returned, each carrying a single dish covered by a gleaming silver dome. The predators tensed, their instincts sharpened by anticipation. When the covers were lifted, they were met with an unexpected sight: a simple, unassuming dish of roasted earth vegetables and a small, artfully plated portion of meat. But it wasn't the food that caught their attention, it was the story that accompanied it. Ambassador Lin gestured toward the plates and began to explain. This dish represents a part of our history that defines us as humans. The meat before you comes from a creature we call the wolf. Long ago, these apex predators roamed our planet, feared and revered by early humans. They were faster, stronger, and deadlier than us. Yet we did not seek to eliminate them. Instead, we formed a bond. He paused, allowing his words to sink in. Over generations, humans and wolves forged an alliance. They became our companions, our partners in survival. We transformed predators into allies, creating a relationship built on trust and mutual benefit. This dish is a tribute to that bond, a reminder that even the fiercest adversaries can find common ground. The predators stared at their plates, their pride clashing with a growing sense of unease. The implications were clear: humanity was not a species that sought domination for its own sake. Instead, they sought connection, even with those who posed a threat. It was a concept that challenged the very foundation of the predators' beliefs, their understanding of power and survival. As they tasted the dish, they were struck by its simplicity and depth. The meat was tender, its flavor enhanced by the earthy sweetness of the roasted vegetables. It was not a dish of excess or indulgence, but one of balance and harmony. The predators could feel the symbolism in every bite, a quiet but powerful statement of humanity's values. When the meal was finished, Lin rose for the final time. His gaze swept across the table, meeting the eyes of each predator in turn. Tonight was not just about sharing a meal, he said, his voice calm but resolute. It was about sharing who we are. Humanity is not defined by strength or fearlessness, but by our ability to adapt, to learn, and to connect. We do not see you as adversaries, but as equals, beings with whom we can share this galaxy. The silence that followed was deafening. The predators, so accustomed to asserting their dominance, found themselves grappling with emotions they couldn't fully articulate. Respect, admiration, and even a hint of vulnerability coursed through them. The humans had not sought to intimidate or impress, they had sought to understand and to be understood, and in doing so, they had achieved something far more profound. As the biodome's lights brightened, signaling the end of the dinner, the predators began to rise from their seats. They exchanged glances, their body language betraying a newfound respect for their hosts. One by one, they approached Lin, offering gestures of acknowledgement: a nod, a bow, a clawed hand placed over a heart. These were not acts of submission, but of recognition, a silent agreement that humanity had earned its place among them. As the guests departed, the biodome grew quiet once more. Lin stood alone at the head of the table, his expression thoughtful. He knew the evening had been a success, but he also understood the responsibility it carried. Humanity had taken a bold step into the galactic arena, not as conquerors but as collaborators. It was a delicate balance, one that would require constant effort to maintain. Outside the biodome, the predators boarded their ships, their minds racing with thoughts of what they had experienced. They had come to Earth expecting to assert their superiority, to remind humanity of its place in the galactic hierarchy. Instead, they left with a deeper understanding of their hosts and of themselves. For the first time, they saw humanity not as prey or competitors, but as a force to be reckoned with, a species capable of shaping the galaxy in ways no one had anticipated. As the ships ascended into the night sky, the stars above seemed to shimmer with a new brilliance. Humanity, the newcomers to the galactic stage, had made their mark not with weapons or war but with a simple, extraordinary dinner. And the galaxy would never be the same again.